is Lindy. I am a mother of 2 kids. I gave birth 5 months ago, and this is what my body looks like right now. I have a protruding gut, I have muscle separation. I would say my tummy is pretty saggy. Today we are going to be talking about body image. Some of you guys watching this might say, Bubz, you're so brave for showing us your tummy, and I really appreciate the thought. Because I understand that for some people, it takes serious guts and courage to show that, but I don't think it's a big deal. I realize that my tummy looks worse than a lot of mummy tummies, but at the same time it also looks better. But this is just one of the many faces of motherhood. Just a little backstory. I've never really had body insecurities. I've always been pretty self-conscious about my height. I used to only go out wearing heels that are like this big. But aside from that, I never really thought I had a problem. You know, my body has never been supermodel material and I've always known of that, but it didn't really bother me. But until I gave birth and I really experienced those body changes. Yeah, my body is definitely different now, post-baby versus pre-baby. I think sometimes we don't realize that we're not meant to stay the same. As a baby grows up, it will grow hair, its head will grow bigger, it will get longer, it will gain weight. As we go through puberty, you know, we grow breasts, and as we get older, our hair will grow gray and white and will have wrinkles. That is part of life, you know, nothing is meant to stay the same. Society has percepted this type of beauty that is so contradicting. Okay, one is to change how you look. At the same time, also to like freeze the way you look. There is a huge pressure for women in particular to look a certain way. I get pressure to raise my family and present myself a certain way while maintaining a full career. I won't deny that there are some days I look at the mirror and I just kind of sigh and look at the lost cause of my tummy. As women, we should be less hard on ourselves. And you know what? Society can kiss my cellulite ass. It's proven that when we look at the mirror, we view ourselves as 20% less attractive, like a whole 20%. And the reason is when we look at the mirror, all we see is, you know, our skin. You see the outer surface, but other people, when they look at you, they see your personality, they see your kindness, they see your talents, and that's why we're most critical of ourselves. And a lot of times when we look at the mirror, I'm sure you had moments where your eyebrows are on point, your hair is styled so nicely, but then you put all your focus on that one pimple. We put all our focus on that flaw. And we have so many dimensions to us, and a lot of times with all the crappy messages that's broadcasted all around us, we get lost within it all and we forget that we are more than this dimension. Back then when I was a lot younger and I wanted to get a nose job, I realized that I didn't need fixing, I just needed to fix my mindset. And I realized that having that nose job, it wouldn't mean the end of my problems. I would have most likely continued to have insecurities and find more areas of my body to complain about. Although I'm not condemning plastic surgery. You do you, whatever makes you happy. I've met people who don't dye their hair, don't wear a single drop of makeup, have never had a scalpel touch their skin, and yet some of the most dishonest and ungenuine people I've ever seen. I've got friends who have had breast implants and Botox and yet are some of the most real people I know. Great taking care of yourself. It's fun putting on makeup in the morning where I can just focus on myself. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. However, when it becomes the only thing you care about, then you know that is a problem, because you choose to tell yourself that you are defined by your surface, your appearance, and more than my skin and bones. Lady Gaga, she gets so much slack from people saying she's not pretty enough to be in the industry that she's in, and yet she can easily be the most interesting woman in the room because of her talent, because of her creativity and her unique self. I've been in situations where I've seen people who look great on the surface but have a stinking attitude, which is so ugly. Examples: when I was on a bus years ago, there was a really gorgeous woman sitting on those priority seats, and she didn't get off for an elderly getting on the bus, and she knew fine rightly she was in the wrong chair, and yet she was unwilling to give up a seat that was entitled for the elder. And yet there was this mother. This mother didn't have a single drop of makeup on her face. I guess you would say she's plump, course, she and her daughter gave up the seat for this elderly woman, and she was just so beautiful through the force of her kindness. And the way she looked at her daughter, her eyes just had so much love. And to me, she was just the most beautiful person in that bus. And I think it's good to be determined. It's good to have goals and dreams, but life really isn't about having, especially if you want to be happy. Life is about being. Life is not about having the perfect body or having the best of things. In the end of the day, things are things. I'm sure you've had days where you just felt really crappy and you bought something because you were miserable. You bought something out of sorrow and it made you happy for a bit, and then it burns out. And it's because you get what you pay for. Things will be things. And then you realize that life is really about being. It's about being with people who bring out the best in you. It's about being with people who matter to you. It's about being inspired, being patient, being kind, being able to live in a moment, and being able to take responsibility of your own happiness. Of course, I miss my old tummy. Do I wish it will look like how I did before? Yeah, but it's not gonna happen by wishing. I'll do what I can to it, but I understand that I'll never look how I used to be, so I'm not gonna beat myself over it. Wrinkles in my tummy reminds me that it was once a home to my babies. I kept them alive and nourished them. I brought them into the world. And it's not just like the body. My hands are so much drier to how it used to be because I'm always washing. They remind me that I was blessed to take care of my family. I've got little baby lines seeping out from my eyes, and they come out when I smile and laugh, and it just reminds me that, hey, these are my joy lines. I've got more sunspots on my face, and they just remind me that, hey, I've been able to go out and have all these wonderful adventures. How sad would it be if you're just blessed with this adventure in life, and unfortunately, all you care about is just how you look. And for you to let that hinder you in life, we should all just be a little bit kinder to ourselves. Love yourselves. You don't need a reason to love yourself. You just do it because it's your own body. What's weird is when I was 20 years old, I used to think that I needed to lose weight. And yet here I am, so much heavier than how I used to be. And because my hands are so much fuller now, I don't have as much time to focus on taking care of myself. I can tell you that even though 5 years ago where I looked younger and my body was firmer, I feel much more beautiful now than I did before. And so it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel. I really refuse to be defined by how I look because there's more to me than this dimension. Beauty is also your patience, it's your talents, it's your passion, it's your kindness. I find it so ironic that we're all born one of a kind, but society makes us want to achieve that one look to make us all the same. A few years ago, I was in Korea. So if you guys don't know, in Seoul, it's quite the capital when it comes to cosmetic surgery. I went for work and I was just sitting in the mall. Because in Seoul, so many people get cosmetic surgery and it's quite the norm, I noticed that there were quite a few people who obviously had procedure, and nothing wrong with that. These women all looked great, and of course there's more to them, to these women, than how they look. But just from the surface, I'm just saying that it was very clear that from where I was, there was a certain perception and standard of beauty. And in that moment with all those gorgeous ladies, I actually felt really good about myself. I actually felt quite relieved to look different. I felt pretty good about my round face. And what's crazy is sometimes the very thing you're most self-conscious about could be the very thing you love most, because I told you guys that I used to be very self-conscious of my nose and my height, and yet these are two of the things that my husband likes most about myself. There was a time when I did a meetup in Malaysia and there was a girl and she wrote me a letter. I remember meeting her, she had the most beautiful, deepest dimples. I remember thinking, what a stunning girl. But when I read her letter, she was telling me just how much she struggled to accept herself, and if only she can see what I saw in her. The thing is, I'm not the most beautiful girl, I'm not the most talented, and yet, there were people who would queue up hours to see me, and what I'm trying to say is the people came to see me because I made them feel about themselves. I didn't have to be the most popular, famous, beautiful, most talented person in a room. People came to see me because I just made people feel good about themselves. Beauty is fleeting, it frays around the edges as you get older, but a good heart, it really lasts you forever. And you know what? It never goes out of style, so it's okay to feel insecure from time to time. We're only human, but sometimes we have to really remind ourselves, pull us out of the haze. There's more to life than how we look. The gist of this video is you don't need a reason to love yourself. You just love yourself because you should. Can you imagine being a negative person all the time? That's annoying. And yet you're always with yourself. And if you're always being unkind to yourself, like why would anyone do that to themselves? Please give yourself a chance to be more than how you look. The reason I also want to show you guys my tummy is because the more I hide it, the more I'm telling myself to be ashamed. The more I'm telling myself to run away, and it's better to just face it. To tell the world, this is how it is. Not be ashamed of it, but to celebrate it. My stretch marks, saggy boobs, and saggy skin reminds me that I'm strong. And guess what? Strong is beautiful. Some of the stuff I talked about earlier, some of you guys may have recognized from my book. So if you guys are interested in my book, I will leave all information in my description box. I love you guys so much.